Are we on?
We covered a lot of ground.
We're live?
I don't know, I'm trying to check.
Mashiach coming now.
I think we are live.
We're live.
Torah Hadasha.
All right. Last thing we spoke about yesterday was... Hey, it's working? So we're on Facebook now. All right, welcome back, our Facebook crowd. During the COVID, we got up to 1,000 friends and followers. So we've just now reopening our gates of Facebook. So watch out, world. The truth is, we're in the middle. So you're just going to have to join us in the middle. Okay, so yesterday we spoke about the 3 new cities of refuge that will be opened up when Mashiach comes. And we explained that that represents really Chabad. Right, that the 6 cities of refuge represents the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. The 6 orders of the Mishnah, which is basically Nigla. And that was the Torah sort of Galus, which was there in order to refine the world, because the world needed refining. Once we refine the world, it opens up an ability for us to do a much higher level of Torah learning, which is going into Panimius Torah, which is a Torah which is not about the world. Right? It's not a Torah which is there to refine and basically purify the world. The world will be purified. It's a Torah which is basically it's Hashem's private business, and it's essentially beyond the birurim. And this is represented by the 3 extra cities of refuge, because we said the cities of refuge anyway represent Torah, because divrei Torah koltin, the word for refuge is another word for Torah, and we spoke at great length that there's another another dimension of Torah that will be opened up. We then start to explain that with that in mind, we can understand. And we also mentioned one more point, which is this is associated with the conquest of the 3 other lands, which will also be conquered only in Mashiach's times. Keni, Kenizi, Kadmoni. Each one of the 3 cities of refuge will be shaykh to one of those, Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Then we start to explain now. Based on that, we can dive into understanding the machlokesim between Shammai and Hillel, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And we said essentially, really, their arguments come down, all of them, to how the Torah views the refinement of the world. And we said that on things which are obviously bad and bilti ratzoi, both Shammai and Hillel agree you have to push them away. And things which are 100% obviously good and can be elevated, they both agree that they're mutter, right? Kosher and tahor, you can access them. Where are they arguing? When there's a suffix. In other words, when we said that the evil is not clear, right? It's a hidden evil, and Hillel comes and basically looks at the thing in a pshat way. He looks on the surface, he says, I don't see any evil here, so let's elevate it. Whereas we said Shammai looks at the potential, if you recall from yesterday. And that's why you even, and not only does Shammai look at the potential, but every single argument between Shammai and Hillel in the entire Torah is basically a different approach of looking at the potential versus looking at the actual. And we brought yesterday an example of Hanukkah, which is kind of a famous machlokes between them. Hillel says you light 1 candle the first day and you mosif v'holech, and you add on. Why? Because he goes according to the actual. On day 1, what do you actually have? 1 day. So you light 1 candle. Day 2, how many do you have? 2 actual days. Shammai looks at the potential. On day 1, what do you have? Potentially, I've got 8 days. So let's paskin 8 candles on the first day, because he's pasking and according to how things are in potential. And this is basically across the board. Here too we see he's going to paskin based on the potential evil that this object could have. And he's already going to basically make a psak din, not on what is there in actuality, but what is in potential. Let's look at it inside. So we're going to take it from page 188, the very last line on the 2nd column, just to get us a little running start to the next page. So he says, Beis Shammai, sheshoresh nishmasam b'chinas hagvuros. We know, of course, their source of their souls comes from Gevura, which is why they are all leaning in this direction. Right? Netiya sichlam hi lahachmir. So, in other words, they have a natural leaning, like we spoke about in this morning's class. You can't really change your body, right? If your midos are a certain way, you're sort of born that way. You're either tall or you're short. So too in your leanings, in your midos, there's certain people that are from the side of Gevura, they can't help themselves. The way they're going to perceive even everything intellectually is they're going to look for problems in the thing, right? And they're going to say, what's wrong with this? What's holding me back? And so they're going to be machmir on everything. right? Litchos v'lasur gam inyanim sharash behem hu b'koach v'helam bilvad. In other words, they're going to be nitpicking and push away and prohibiting things that the evil is only very, very hidden, right? Because their leaning in their intellect is inside of Gevurah. Whereas Beis Hillel shorash nishmasim b'chinas chasadim, Hillel, where they come from the side of Chesed, Netiyas Sichlam, the leaning of their intellect is lahakil, is to always look for a leniency. They're not looking for the problem, they're looking for a way to make it okay. L'karev, to bring it closer. How can I help this person? A leaning. Yeah. How can I bring it closer? How can I lahatir? How can I make it mutter, permissible? Right? Hadavarim she'in bem rabba poel bagilo. In other words, they're going to say, well, I don't see anything clearly wrong with this, so let's bring it close. V'achiluk zeh merumaz gam b'shmoseyam. This, like the Rebbe very often brings, it's kind of a cool thing that the Rebbe does all the time. He brings here from the Maimar Azal, like where do you even get off doing such a thing? He's about to explain their shitas and their leanings based on their names. So he says, right, that from a Maimar Azal, Rabbi Meir have dayak bishmei. In other words, there's a concept that you can be medayak in the name of something. Rabbi Meir was originally doing this, and essentially saying like you can learn out the nature of something from its name. So anyway, where do we see that Shammai and Hillel, the names themselves already have this concept built in? So Shammai comes from the word Hasam or Chosav, right? Which basically means someone who is very deliberate in their pathways, in their ways, right? Sheshokel d'rachav b'tachlis hazahirus. He's weighing his ways in the most carefulness that he possibly can. Gam in yanim d'ra hanelam, even in potential things, right? We still know a guy who won't shake anybody's hand since COVID. Remember that whole era? People were elbow bumping. The guy never lost it, right? Don't touch anybody. Because maybe there's like something, he's like a Shammai. He's machmir. Maybe there's some kind of a hidden evil inside of everybody's hands that I can't see. Right? There is such a way of just being nervous about the potential. As soon as he finds even a hidden possible evil, already he's ready to doche v'oser osam. He's already ready to push it away and say no, because maybe. Whereas Hillel, Melashim balu nero ali roshi, right? There's a pasuk in Iyov that says basically the candle is shining on my head. The word balu, Hillel, comes from the word to shine. Shu inyan shel or begiloi, right? This is the idea of not being careful like Shammai, right? What's a Shammai, by the way, in Hebrew? There's a word. What's a Shamaut?
Maybe.
What's that?
Possibility.
That's a Shema. Also, Shema means maybe, but there's a title, a position, somebody's called a Shammai.
Shamish?
A Shammai. What is it? Not a Shamish. Hopefully you guys will soon know, because when you buy a house, you have to bring an appraiser. It's called it literally. And what is this? It's exactly what we're saying. Right? He's appraising. He's like, wait a second, is there a crack in the wall? What is his job? To literally look for hidden problems that you don't see when you buy your house. That's why you get this guy. He's an appraiser. He's like, wait, what's with the plumbing? Is the electric new? Is it old? So he's like looking behind the walls. It's literally what a Shammai is, right? Okay, so that goes well with what we're saying. So then you also have this idea of Ba'alu Nero, this shining light. Hillel comes to the word to shine, which means he's dealing with the light, the revelation, what can be seen, not what's hiding behind the walls, which is Hamshachas Or HaKadusha Gnam B'Makom Sheyesh Ra B'Koach U'Behelim. So his Indian is, I want to bring light into a place. You say that the house might have cracks and hidden things. I say, it's a palace. I'm going to bring a big Shabbos table. We'll worry about that later. I have an opportunity basically to bring light in this place. I'm not going to push it away because of potential evil that I might find. They're both very Jewish ways of acting, right? You got your right and your left. You can see why each one is so chashav. There's definitely an Indian to overlook potential evil for the sake of bringing the immediate revelation and elevation of a particular thing. Say, don't bother me with that. Is it good right now? Can I make kiddush here? Yes, kosher. Let's take it. So this is Hillel's approach. V'yesh lahosiv shachiluk bein beis Shammai beis Hillel hu gam b'darkas haTorah shal yedad nasa birra olam. Okay, Now we're getting into it. So we want to add and say that the difference between the two houses, Hillel and Shammai, is also at the level of Torah through which they're using to refine the world. In other words, they're both grabbing onto different arenas of Torah in order to make their presence felt and change the world, refine the world. Who's got higher level of Torah? Shammai. We know this, right? How do we know that Beis Shammai is smarter? First of all, the Gemara simply says it. But remember, when they stood there and voted between Shammai and Hillel, the vast majority of the people went like Hillel. So they should have just paskin like Hillel, right? But they didn't. They needed a bas kol to come down and say, Eilu ve'eilu divrei Elokim chayim v'halacha kehillel. Why do they need a bas kol? Because they had a suffix on themselves. Well, we're the majority, so the Torah should just go according to Hillel plainly without a bas kol. But since Shammai was mechadei tefei, they were so much more brilliant than Hillel. Even though they were a minority, everybody was still in a suffix. So we see that Beis Shammai is a darga naila. Nailis yoser b'limun Torah. Beis Shammai learned the Torah in a much, much deeper way. In other words, to find the hidden evil means you have to peer much, much deeper into it. You're pasha looking deeper, right? He was looking into the koach of the Torah. So in other words, you can look at it also like that. In other words, when you look at the Chumash, what do you see? Stories of a man, a mountain, right? But if you're going to go into the koach, the potential goes on forever. All of a sudden, there's hidden things inside the Torah. So the whole notion that you're coming from the side of the Gevura and you're looking for the potential, forget about for a second looking for the potential evil. Bichlal, they were looking for the potential. Which means they could find secret, hidden meanings because they looked deeper into it, that which was not merely on the surface. So their whole approach to Torah was much deeper. And therefore, basically, in other words, another way of saying this is that Shammai were the Chassidim, and Hillel were the Bali Nigla, right? They Bali Nigla, they looked at the surface. Yes, no, right? Kosher, puzzle. Shammai was looking at the Sphiros Elyonos. They were saying, wait, this is all mamish, a much higher level of Kedusha pouring into this thing. You guys are not looking deep enough. So basically, the koach of the Torah is the Pnimius of Torah, the poel, the actual of Torah is the nigla of Torah. And what's going on with Shammai's sharper Torah, shebekocha yechol levarer, that with the power of Shammai's Torah, the Pnimius of Torah, you can refine lo rak ra hagaloi, elegam ra hanelam. Their ability to refine the world is greater. Because they can clean up the world, not in just the evil that's seen and available. They can go much, much deeper in. They can do a deep dive. It's mamish like they can find the COVID, right? In other words, it's like the idea of basically going in deep and finding hidden evil that no one can see. It's kind of like modern science, essentially, right? Before, people didn't know about germs and all kinds of biology that you can go and find the inner hidden diseases that are there. So too, when it comes to the world, since they were looking at the deeper potential of the Torah, they could also find a way to refine the world on a much, much more seriously refined level, truly heal it.
Aren't they doing less in the process because they're much more picky, so to speak?
Yeah.
So is it really doing more, even though it's going deeper?
It has the potential to do more because it has the potential to really clean up this place. But you're right. In actuality, we anyone who paskins like them is like your chayiv. Your life is on the line. You put yourself in a sakana. We learn from Rabbi Tarfon. So interestingly, even though they have a deeper ability to refine the world, we don't use their approach. At least we haven't yet. For the reason you're saying, Masha Ein Kain Beis Hillel. Whereas it comes to Hillel, Shalom Dim Torah Kafishi Bapoel Bagiloi, they learn the Torah, so to speak, as it appears, which is called Nigla. You don't have to go look so deep. Rabbi Akiva, the Chacham, it's right on the page. Ein in Yanam Levari Ra Hanelam. They're not busy trying to refine things on the deepest sort of molecular scale. No, leave the molecular scale, unseen and dirty if I have to. Let me clean up the trash on the floor. Let's start there. You're going to try and go clean up the inner dirt inside of the tiles. How about just the trash on the floor, right? They're worried about the revealed evil. And if you're busy trying just to refine the revealed evil, and you're not busy with the hidden evil, in such a scenario, this is exactly what Mendel was just pointing to. In such a situation, therefore, it's totally forbidden to push away things that you could elevate and that you could bring into the family of Kedusha. In other words, if they're only trying to get rid of open and revealed evil, then the things which have hidden evil, those are fair game. I can actually elevate those things because you're going to tell me that there's something wrong with it. I don't think there is. Actually, I'm reminded of an interesting episode that happened when I was living in Crown Heights with my wife. Just got married, and we had a little apartment over there, and all of a sudden, there was like a panic in the streets. Literally, everybody said, don't drink any of the water. Why? Because someone found bugs in the water supply. And like this was just like streaming, teeming with like little tiny insects, and you couldn't drink the water. Everyone was like in a panic. You can't cook, you can't do anything. So it was like a whole situation. And then we came into 770. There was huge signs on the walls. It says like, this is nonsense. There's a psak din that came out from the base din of Crown Heights. You do not have to listen to this. This is foolish. Why? Because those bugs they found were like microscopic bugs. And microscopic bugs do not play into psak din of halacha. You can eat microscopic bugs. They're a hidden evil. The Torah does not deal with that, with life on that level, right? You don't have to. You have to look for tiny bugs, but not microscopic bugs. Those bugs you can eat, even though you could on a deeper level. I'm just using an example. In a deeper level, you could push that water away. Now no one's going to be able to drink any water because you're so frum that you're not going to eat a microscopic bug. But if your business is that all you have to do is worry about the revealed evil, therefore the hidden evil is not your business. Make a bracha, drink water. You can elevate the water, right? So the idea is that it becomes usher, if your business is to push away revealed evil, it becomes usher to push away secret evil because you're leaving that part of the world unelevated, which is exactly what Mendel was just saying.
You drink the water?
You drink the water.
You drink it?
Of course. When you go against the psak din, that's you're not allowed to hold like Shammai in the time of Hillel. Bisman hazeh, you can put yourself in danger. More danger than the microscopic bugs.
770 challenge.
It's good enough. It's dangerous enough. Okay, so he says l'chein. Therefore, bisman in these days, shematzava olam hu sherov bnei adam einam shaychim l'dargasim shel Beis Shammai, where the majority of the world is not yet holding on the level of Beis Shammai. What's the proof? We didn't change the halachas yet, right? We're still holding the Beis Hillel, which shows you that the majority of people are not. They're not tapping into that second level of Torah yet. The world has not yet fully embraced the Pnimiyas Torah. That's what we're saying, right? Beis Shammai is the secrets of the Torah. And the world as of yet has not really captured it in the full measure, where that's like the modus operandi of how we're operating the Torah. Some yes, but most no. It's still a minority, unfortunately. So he says in this time, when not everyone's holding by the level of Beis Shammai, lishkol adakdek darcheihem betachlis azehirus, in order to weigh and to be so precise, like this appraiser of your life, right? To crawl into all the holes and hidden secrets of being careful about the isurim, gam mirah hanelam ulevaro, and in other words, and also to try to refine and separate even hidden evil. Because they're holding on such a high level of Torah. Most people are not such a level. Halacha kabeis Hillel. Therefore, even if you happen to have a microscope in your kitchen and you see the bugs, you cannot hold like Shammai and try to make yourself careful about hidden evil. You're not allowed. It's mutter, right? And halacha kabeis Hillel and Beis Shammai makam Hillel eino mishnah. Right? There's this like sort of harsh phrase that the sages use. They said, in the place of Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai is like, no. We're just outright rejecting it. Once they paskin, you're not allowed to hold like that. But not only that, but we're bringing back a theme that we said before. Kishenimnu v'rabu Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Those few areas where when they voted, they did vote like Beis Shammai. Remember what happened then? Also, ayom hayakash liYisrael kiyom shenasa bo ego. We said that day was as difficult of a day for the Jewish people as the day they made the golden calf. In other words, not only can you not go like Shammai, if you suddenly, the majority of the Jews winds up rolling into a situation where they do all like Beis Shammai, it's a travesty of the greatest order the creation has ever seen. Why would you say such a harsh word about going like Beis Shammai? It's one thing, okay, we don't hold like him, but ad kedei kach. So he says, Ki al yedei zeh shedochim merachakim migvul hakadusha devarim shayu yicholim lekarvam la'los lekadusha me'ele nisvasev koach belu'umad zeh. Before I translate this and give the answer away, what is the connection between worship, the day they made the golden calf, and holding like Beis Shammai based on the things we just said? Can you make such a correlation? He's about to plug in the circuit, but let's use our brains for a second.
They knew better than what was actually going on, so they decided to take matters into their own hands.
In other words, just sort of going against the majority or something?
No, they saw that maybe we have to change around the situation because Moshe's not coming down. Maybe there's deeper things that we have to do in order to...
Okay. Anyone else? I like it. Fine. Check out what he says. It's very clever. Why is it considered to be like a day you made a golden calf? By the way, the Rabbi has another whole sikha, and maybe more than one, where he is very specific with the words. It doesn't say like the day they worshipped the golden calf. It says like the day they made the golden calf, which is a big difference. They didn't worship the golden calf till the next day. So it's two different things. Yes?
Didn't you say it's because the potential, like it could have been used for a Shem or not before? Like you said that the golden calf wasn't like bad when they first made it, like they could have used it for a Shem. And the same thing with Beis Shammai, it's also this potential, like it could have been used wrong.
You're onto it. Let's see it in clear language. But yes, that is the idea. So he says, through pushing away out of the boundaries of Kedusha, which basically, think about what Beis Shammai is saying, something which really should be holy or at least elevatable. You're going to be such a chacham and look so deep that you're going to make it unelevatable. What are you doing? You're pushing things out of the potential for Kedusha, aren't you? It's like there's klippas noga, and if you're Hillel, you're going to eat it and elevate it. If you're Shammai, you're going to leave it there unelevatable, right? So this is essentially adding life force to darkness, because you're basically making an existence of an object which can no longer become holy. That's like the day they made the golden calf. They just put like this thing in the world which is just like a bummer of a thing. It's now sitting there like unable to be used for God. Before it was gold, they could have used it for the Mishkan, they could have used it for all kinds of good things, right? Only the Mishkan. Right? And all of a sudden they put it into a situation where they like excluded it from being elevated. This is exactly like what happens when you vote for Beis Shammai. You're basically saying that there's a whole piece of chicken here that no longer can be elevated. So you're adding klippas to the world automatically by holding like Beis Shammai in a time when you're supposed to be holding like Beis Hillel. It's like the day they made the golden calf.
So then you should never be machmer, seemingly. Because every time you're machmer on something, you're taking away the sparks that could be elevated in that thing.
Theoretically, unless you actually see the evil in it. In other words, holding like Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, like on a psak din level, is one thing, right? Being machmir in offenses to the Torah that you're worried you may actually transgress something, that's kind of a different matter, because you're holding like Hillel. Right? You're not like, you haven't flipped the whole Torah into a situation where you've just like blocked off the potentiality of all these things from being elevated. So this thing now, I'm not going to elevate it, but like I have a suffix on its kashrus, that's different a little bit. Because this is already in the realm of Hillel where it's an elevatable object, but I have a reasonable concern. I don't want to suddenly do an avera, right? If I eat this thing and it's tevel or it's orla and I didn't check it properly, so I'm being machmir myself, that's a healthy level of machmir, because you could crash and burn on such a thing, right? So there is and also, as we're going to soon see, the idea of like the shita of Shammai, where you're going to be actually putting on tons of chumras, which is basically the Hasidic way, quite frankly, right? Is because we're already sort of leaning into a Shammai type of futuristic way of living our lives. So we'll see that it comes together. Yeah.
Maybe you just answered it, but I was going to ask, if we made a claim at the beginning that the hidden things are like at a higher level, that like the example of like when Torah says like Tov Me'od, like talking about like it's, I think the Gemara says like
the Malach HaMavis.
Yeah, Malachama is the Yetzer Hara and the Day of Death. So like, there's this idea of Tov Meod. So if we're saying, like, okay, you're adding chumras, but you're also adding ways that are even like more elevated, you know? If you're doing West Shammai, wouldn't it be the opposite of what he said?
Why?
Because something that's Tov Meod means you can elevate it even more. You have a Yetzer Hara, so you can elevate it more because you overcame your Yetzer Hara. You had this, you know, it's okay. You can't eat this thing and physically make it higher, but you overcame wanting to eat it, which is even higher, right?
Yeah. In other words, like acting on a way of negation by not doing something, you're saying is a type of action
Yeah, exactly.
which essentially draws from a higher place.
So isn't that the opposite of what he's saying here?
Well, it's the Shammai way, right? That what you're describing is Shammai's approach, right? And we're gonna soon see that is the messianic approach, right? And at some point we're gonna switch this thing and everything's gonna go like Shammai. Just in the meantime, the whole Am Yisrael to go like that when they don't see the world like that. Remember, you have to. A judge can only paskin based according to what his eyes see. So if nobody understands what you're talking about with this microscope, and they've never seen such a thing, and you're going to say you can't drink this, you can't drink that, don't do that, and they don't understand why. They're just dealing with the world in a revealed way. That's not a healthy negation of something. But if you can see the hidden evil, and therefore your approach to it is it's a healthy level of negation, then yes, it's like the high level of Shammai. We're saying Shammai is smarter. Shammai is connected with Chassidus, Pnimius Torah. It's the way of Mashiach. It's just that you have to know when and where, right? Don't forget Korach as well. We're coming up next week on Parshas Korach, which, by the way, is Gimel Tammuz, is connected with the Rebbe big time, this Indian of Korach, because it's the same thing. He was basically saying like that, you know, Kulam Kedoshim, he was basically, Korach was a Levi, and the Levi is Indian of Gvuras, and he was essentially on this, like a Shammai type of a Yid. And it says in the Mefarshim, when Mashiach comes, we're going to hold like Korach. You know that? It's just that, yeah. Yeah, it says that in Mefarshim. Yeah. It says in Mefarshim that he was right, but his timing was wrong. Right? In other words, and it's exactly what we're saying by Shammai. It says, by the way, it says in Chazal, but it's brought in. You can look up the Makoros in Likutei Torah in Parshas Korach and the Alter Rebbe, and the Rebbe put them all the Makoros in the back if you want to find the exact Chazal. But yeah, it's old, right? And the idea, Mistame comes from Kabbalah, the Arizal, but the idea is that it's exactly like Shammai. Shammai was right. It's just that his timing was wrong. You can't suddenly just force everybody to be paskening in accordance with Pnimius Torah when they don't see the Pnimius Torah. And on the contrary, there's business to do in the revealed world first, and that's what you have to elevate everything that you can elevate before you start getting fancy and start looking for deeper ways to elevate, right? And this is the whole reason why we have to first conquer the 7 nations of Canaan. And only then, when that's conquered and we did the work of the Midos, which is the revealed parts of ourselves, then you can start working on the Chabad and go much, much deeper and climb into a deeper place. Fine, it's a good stopping point.